Hello, YouTube fam. How y'all doing? It's your Uncle Tim. This is Uncle Tim Rants and Reviews, the channel where I rant and I review. I'm your host, Uncle Tim. Lately, I've been going through some stuff, man. It just, to me, just didn't feel fair. And, it felt like I was being singled out, picked on. It's not about no haters on no channel or none of that stuff. It's like real life shit. My kid's mother passed away. Uh, and I really been in a funk because, even though my children are grown, man, it has you feeling some kind of way, how they taking it. I'm calling them and, I'm really feeling bad for them. I haven't been with their mom in like something like 20 years, but still, it plays a big part. Me and my wife went to see her before she passed. And that was not before she passed, but we went to see her. And it was just something in itself, man. And the thing that I'm talking about, life is short, man. Life is short to be just angry and upset about stuff, man. Sometimes you got to move past shit and just get past it, bro. Life ain't on wait on nobody. Man, the only way to heal yourself is to move forward. Don't look back at stuff that you can't change, stuff that, is already said and done, bro. That book has already been written. That's done. Focus now on just, the rest of your life and being happy. I once said the key to this life is living your best life, your version of that best life, man. There's been a lot of other stuff going on that I didn't want to bring on to the channel, man, but it's really been getting me depressed, bro. That's a lot. And I tell you all, being a grown up, being someone who's a full grown ass man, you deal with stuff constantly. It's like if one thing happened and you get past that, there's something else coming, then there's something else coming, and there's something else coming. And you working with all this stuff, man, and you just sitting there like, man, it's like you can't catch a break. And you putting your head down and you just like, man, you know, just don't know how to feel about a lot of stuff, man. With the economy being the way it is, life being the way it is. And I know for a lot of people to say, man, for to be boohooing about the economy, I look behind you and I just see all that stuff. Then I see you go to Ross and ball out and you just buy all this stuff. Bro, it ain't all from the same trip. Come on, man. This stuff wasn't bought yesterday. Let's stop. I've been collecting for a while and it ain't been bought yesterday. People make it seem like I went out, oh, I'm buying it all at the same time. That ain't how it works. You talk about all these times where you had this and that happen to you, but you're in a different place now. How's that? Dude, you can either live in that situation or you can grow from that situation. What I mean, some people stay in those situations because they don't want to leave. At that particular time, once everything is gone, it's gone. They just like, okay, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. Me? Dude, one thing about me collecting is, and I'm gonna be honest with you, when you see me collect, I'm one of those all-in collectors. I don't need every particular character from the storyline, but me, I focus on some of the stuff that I do, and I just enjoy it, man. I love collecting, man. Sometimes it can get overwhelming. You know, Sometimes you don't find anything for a very long time, and people don't understand that. They make it seem like you just sitting there and you find everything. Sometimes, bro, I go out and don't find anything. This is why you don't ever see anything sometimes. You be like, I don't see all these. You should just break it up and, do two, a time. No, I'm just going to show it all at the same time. That way you can see it. Sometimes I might find one piece and just save it. But my biggest thing, man, is enjoy it. And the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand is I live below my means, bro. I live way below my means. I don't, if, when I just chill with the collecting, dude, I'm just sitting here trying to think about how to stack paper, man, how to make more money, how to do this, how to do that, how to get off into this and into that, man. But I'm going to tell you, getting off into things, man, you need seed money. Bro, this is why I'm saying sometimes you got to sell some of your stuff to get where you want to go. It don't mean you got to sell everything. Sometimes you sell just a few pieces to get yourself situated. To see if you like it. You'd be like, I bought 3 pieces and of this. I bought 3 pieces of gold, and it feels a lot better. I have some precious metals, so dude, do what you do. At the end of the day, you don't owe anybody nothing. Your happiness is paramount, man. Like I said, every now and then it feel like I go through a bout of depression, man. It's close to Father's Day, and my father and stuff like that. He's been gone for about 29 years. Bro, my whole thing is mom been gone for about 28, I think. Shit, somewhere in there. 28 or 30 or something like that, or 29 from a dad. What I'm trying to say is time waits for no man. Dude, you can sit there and dwell on the past, or you can move forward, man. And I'm ready just to move forward in all of this, man, because I'm looking at it and I'm just tired of, holding on to things. I'm ready to drop those weights and those anchors and just move forward, bro. I was looking at YouTube itself, and people ask like, why you just don't take a break? Because if you take a break, people leave. And that's one thing people don't understand. They say, man, people don't leave, people leave and grows because you're not putting out content anymore. And you just filling up a spot that they can have somebody else who's still producing content, bro. And I'm just looking at that, and I'm, thinking about everything, man, trying to understand some things. And one thing I'm gonna tell you something. I hold myself accountable for the actions I do, the things I say. I hold myself accountable. I've been pushing people away because, my friend, he got sick, and that was crazy, man. So I lost a person to talk to, bro, because we used to talk crazy shit. We talk about the toys and talk about some crazy toy lines that we came up with, or just stuff, man. You miss shooting the breeze with people. He down for a while, so it's like, man, bro, you just deal with the stuff. Man, all you can deal is the hand that you dealt, bro, and just keep moving, man. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I said, man. But people tell me, oh man, you know what? Don't look like you ever have any problems, bro. We all have problems. It's one thing about being human and being alive. You're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have something that that brings you, a thing where you just be like, man, I'm tired. Some days you just want to throw the towel in. Some days, I'm serious, you really do. And some days you realize to yourself, it's not worth it to throw the towel in. I'm just gonna keep on living, man, and I'm gonna see what tomorrow bring. Each day in this world is different. This is why I have a different angle for something every single day, because each day to me is different. If I couldn't get the house in the last 6 months to a year, yeah, I'm gonna drop it for now. You just not hearing about it. But when stuff ain't happening for you, man, you drop it for a while until it does happen for you. The housing prices right now are ridiculous, bro. I'm not about to pay like over asking if the house is 650. I'm just throwing a crazy number out there. If it's 650, they say you should give them 800. You sitting here thinking like, for what? I see this damn house. That's an extra house. One thing about me, man, I'm not short of holding my tongue. I just say what I'm thinking, man, because I'm thinking when you talking about ridiculous prices, man, that's what they are, ridiculous prices. You got to think about what you want at. I'm not willing to pay an arm and a leg for any damn thing, man. My whole thing is, I want to get what I get and be happy with it, man. I'm looking at everything that I got. I'm looking at the stuff that I see. Man, I've been really enjoying collecting, man, just trying to make stuff work. I've been throwing stuff up against the wall. People tell me that their channel is not really working. That means you might have to re-evaluate your channel and change it into something else. If you feel, this is why I say you got to constantly put material out. Sometimes you put material out that's different from the material you normally put out, because maybe the material that you're doing different might be the one that's catching on. And the one that you used to do, dude, everything has a season and its time. And I've been noticing that, man. I've been holding on to a past for a little bit, to try to keep myself from being overwhelmed in the future and not seeing stuff, man. But you know what? Holding on to the past, even little pieces, man, it messes with you. So today I drop all that shit, bro. I'm tired. I got to drop all that. Some days you got to take mental health breaks from work, man. People don't understand. If you got personal days and you could use them, use them. Where you could call off and get paid, dude, sometimes you got to use them. Man, sometimes your mind, it ain't your body, it's your mind. You get in there and going crazy, people start changing. Like, yeah, you should have stayed home. No. My thing is, bro, you sit down and you just figure it out. Why am I telling you all my business? Because sometimes it helps just to tell somebody this. Dude, at the end of the day, it's what it is. It ain't me hiding anything. Sometimes it's good to let people in. It's good to let people know that you human. Shit happens, bro. You're not always gonna be sitting here talking about toys, bro, collectibles, or any damn thing like that. But I do got some stuff to talk about. Man, they've been finding new stuff everywhere. They've been finding new figures at Target, Walmart, GameStop. Dude, that's some cool stuff. Some new Marvel Legends. Dude, they've been finding some Constructicon knockoffs at DD's, bro. The big one, I'm talking about the big Constructicons. They like, I think they were like $10 a piece. And I was thinking, I said, hell, if I see them, because they yellow. I said, hell, if I see them, I'll pick them up. Why wouldn't I? Dude, if you want something, it ain't gonna always be exactly the way you want. Dude, I pick all 6 of them up if it takes. What I'm looking at now is I want to get into The Simpsons. If I could find that at Ross or, find it on sale or something like that in stores, I'm good with it. Like I said, I like the toy line because I love the show, bro. Ever since Disney took it over, it's a whole lot of... anytime Disney take over anything, man, it gets weird. You ever notice that? Man. I opened all of that stuff that I had got over the weekend and the stuff that I got from Sanchi, like the Maximum Hulk, the Maximum Spider-Man. I'm trying to find a place to put them up. The Tigra for Super 7, I'm going to put them up there. I just been trying to find places to put stuff, man. From time to time, you sit back and you think about all the stuff. I just been sitting here thinking about how I got everything situated and how I wanted to go. And, that's the fun part of everything, man. Everything is a work in progress. You just enjoy it as you move on. I look at some of these actual Zoids that I got at the top, and I realized, I said, man, I had actually more than that, man. I used to have a whole damn Zoid catalog, basically. That's the funny thing, man. You realize all the stuff you used to have and the stuff that you don't have anymore, and it just make you laugh. And you know what? Sometimes it's good to laugh at stuff. It's good to see that, that feeling. Man. But, one thing about it is, I talked to my wife today, and she said some nice things to me. And, man, I had to put my head down for a while because I was laying in the bed, and she was saying this stuff. And I dozed off and slept really good. Woke up, got a plan, and, I'm going to stick with it, man. Every now and then, we all go through something. And I think the reason why the death of my kid's mother really hit me hard, because she was younger than I was. And, my thing is, man, life is different, bro. Things change quick. And that's one thing that you don't understand. A person could be sitting there healthy as hell, and you be looking like thinking ain't nothing gonna happen, and things happen. This is how it gets you, man. This is what I'm saying. Live your life. Just live, bro. It ain't rocket science. Live. Enjoy your life. Enjoy doing what you do. Man, enjoy collecting. But till later, peace out, and thank you for watching.